afternoon. I'm delighted to have you all with us for what we hope is the first of one of our some interactive sessions we're going to be running. We've decided to start with mice. A few housekeeping points. Please ask questions as we go. So we're going to be stopping after looking at some of the mice. If you have any specific questions, please put them into the question box, and our able question asker Adele Carville is going to put them to us, so hopefully we'll get those going. I also want to introduce Chris Pratt, who is our purchasing manager and who will, well, he knows an awful lot about this stuff, far more than I do, and so between us hopefully we'll get all the answers for you. So that's really what we want to say. We are going to try, we hope to publish this online afterwards, but as it is our first, we may or may not be able to do so, so we will try. And please feel free to contact us. As I say, this is the first of what we hope will be many interactive sessions. So any questions, either during the session, please ask us, or afterwards, please contact us. So, right, let's get on with our first slide. Just really wanted to start with some basics, just to remind you that, you know, although people feel problems in their hand and their wrist with a mouse, it can affect lots of other areas of the body, particularly around the shoulder, the upper arm, as well as the wrist and hand. And in fact, I have seen situations where people have had back problems due to actually their mouse placement. So that's quite common. So I just want to point out a few things. If you look, oh, that's rubbish. Beg your pardon. If you look at the shoulder, it is a very muscular joint, and it's really important the muscles remain in balance. So if you are always working with your shoulder forwards or backwards, or actually rotated, this is going to cause problems. Looking at the wrist, we're going to be talking about flexion, which is where you have your palm going down, extension, where your back of your hand is coming up, and then if we talk about deviation, it's when it's turning side to side, either to one side of the wrist, which is the radius, and the other, which is ulnar, which is why it's called radial and ulnar deviation. And then we're also going to talk about pro and supination. This is where the hand turns either to face the floor, which would be pronation, or when the hand is palm upwards, which is supination. And then one other area of the body you may also be aware of is actually the carpal tunnel, which is in the base of the sort of wrist. And you have a ligament across there, which all the delicate structures that go into your hand go under. And so this is the carpal tunnel. So I just really wanted to remind you of those before we start talking about things. Need to just remind you a little bit about the basic posture when using the mouse. And for me, it is two situations. First of all, keeping the upper arm relaxed and close to the body. And the other important feature is having the forearm level with the wrist in a neutral position. If we're able to work with our mouse in these positions, we probably won't get too many problems. So let's say we've got mouse problems. Where do most of the problems occur? Well, a lot of the time you'll see it's actually due to the user's height relative to the desk. If we get that wrong, if we look in this picture and the person is sitting low, you can see the forearm is coming up and there is pressure around the wrist. That is a very common problem that we see. So nothing to do with the mouse at all, more to do with placement. Then we talk about the placement of the mouse on the desk. As I said, with the shoulder, if it is not relaxed by the body, you can land up with problems. I've got a few pictures of that on the next slide. Maybe the shape and the size of the mouse is incorrect, so it's not correctly supporting the hand. We still see people using the mouse in an incorrect hand, either on the left or the right. The functionality could be wrong. Maybe you need a mouse with lots of different functions, and if you have a mouse that doesn't have that functionality, you may be struggling either with over moving it or other problems. Set up the mouse is obviously important. Again, you see people moving their mouse far too much when perhaps if they improve the sensitivity, things would be better. And finally, although maybe one of the most important things, it's important to have breaks and remove your hand off the mouse and give it time to relax. As I said, a few pictures just to show poor mouse placement. I think most of these don't need much explanation. Obviously here, the arm is out to the side, the same as this one here. These are very common postures. But if we look at this setup, we can see that mouse is being given a very small space to work, and we know that will have an impact on the person using that mouse. So when choosing a mouse, we have to consider quite a lot of things. The tasks we're going to need to do, the size of the mouse for our own usage, whether we've got a large hand or a small hand. Do we need it left, right, or do we need it to be bilateral? Are we going to need it wired, wireless or Bluetooth? Really important, particularly if people are carrying items around with them. Is it for permanent, long-term use or just occasional use? And then we need to look at what the impact that mouse has on us, on the hand, wrist and forearm position, the upper arm position. And last, but again, a really important thing, pre-existing preferences. People who often used mice effectively in the past, works for them, and that is what they're going to want in the future. So it's really important. Let's move on and actually look at some of the different types of mice. The first one, the most popular, is the upright or less pronated mouse. As I talked about in the initial thing, we talked about supination and pronation. Pronation and supination are both end of range. We'd quite like to be moving our hand in middle range, but as you can see with a traditional mouse, you're actually moving towards an end of range pronation. Many of the vertical mice actually aim to have your hand in a relaxed mid-range position. So let's have a look at some of the upright mice. Let's start with the penguin. So Chris, before I let you have a go, I shall get in first. So obviously we have the penguin. For me, usually I use a medium or a large one. The great thing about the penguin is that it is an upright mouse. It has a useful base, so you don't have to grip so much. And you can obviously use it right or left hand by changing the bow tie. Do you want to add some more to that?
Yeah, so the penguin mouse, available in 3 sizes, Katharine says. So you've got the small, the medium, the large. We do them in wired and wireless, so you can have either on that. Like I say, ambidextrous, it can be used by either hand. But other than that, I don't think there's too much more to say. Just the bow tie feature just changes the direction of the scroll wheel on that, and then you have your left click and your right click on that particular mouse. Excellent.
Okay, so those are the penguins.
We get rid of those.
And we'll bring in the other mice. Right, these ones I want to, these are the evoluent mice. And again, we're working in a more upright position. These mice have more functionality. We've got more buttons to program if you want to, or not, as the case may be. And they evolve. Now let me make sure I get these in the right order. I'm not sure I have got them in the right order.
So that's your evoluent 3.
There you go.
There's your evoluent 4. There's the 4 left-handed. That is the 4 small, and then you've got the D at the end there.
So basically they come in standard size and a small size, left and right, wide and wide. But again, the main thing is that they're an upright mouse. They fit nicely into the hand, and they function very well.
Yeah, a great product. Very great range, as you're saying there, Katharine, as well. So we've got the 3, which is great standard mouse. It's kind of the entry level in the range now, I suppose. You've got the 4, which is the next step up, available in, as you can see, left and right-handed. They do a small version in the right-handed as well. All of these are available in wired and wireless, and then you've got the D as well, which is available in wired and wireless as well.
They used to do a really nice purple one. Do they still do it? Because I have a great purple one at home.
Yes, the purple one is the small version must be the wired version of the.
So they still do it.
They still do.
If you want a purple mouse, that's the one to have. Excellent. So I mean, I think I've used these extensively with people, and people actually take a very short period of time to get used to them. Usually about sort of 20-30 minutes. So that works very well.
Yeah.
I don't think there's really much more to say about this.
No, I suppose just to explain the features on them, on the clicks. So you've got the left click and the right click and the middle click. They're they're interchangeable as well. There are drivers for this mouse that you can download, so you can change the clicks. And you've got the scroll feature on the side there, and then you've got the pointer speed is on the side there on the mouse. It's similar across all the ranges basically.
And you can change the sensitivity on them too. I didn't say that with penguins, but you can. And so these again, I was talking about making sure they're the correct sensitivity, but we can do that with these and the penguins too, can't we?
Yeah, most of the mice here have a what we call DPI setting, which changes the sensitivity, and then you can do it using Windows. You can do it on Windows as well, so you can go in and change the sensitivity on Windows as well. So there's different ways you can change the sensitivity on mice, but massively important, you said earlier. Yep.
Yeah, excellent. Right, if I pass this to you, could you pass over those other upright mice?
Of course.
Okay, that's lovely. Now, this is interesting where we always end up with different names. I've always called this the quill mouse, but you have another name for it, don't you?
Yeah, the aerobic mouse, I suppose, but it's spelled O2 in the middle, so Air O2 aerobic.
So again, it's an upright mouse. It's interesting though, it has this additional support. I know the Arthritis Society like this mouse, because again, it really does allow for a very relaxed hand position. All the sort of the functions, the left and the right click, it really does allow people who've got a problem with their wrist, particularly, a really good sort of mousing experience. Anything else you need to add to that?
No, just really, it's available in two colours, so black and white, and it comes in wired and wireless as well. So just add that really. I think there's much more to say on this thing.
Yep. Okay. And then we've got.
Sorry, of course. Yeah.
Stole that. My again, I've always called this the either the Aeneas mouse or the 3M mouse, but again, it's got other names too, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's been known in the past as the Renaissance mouse, and yeah, there's a few other names for it out there. It's part code, etc. But yes, the Aeneas mouse is what we call it on the website.
Yeah. But it's great because it's been around. It was probably the first upright mouse I came across. I'm not sure whether it was the first one available, but certainly the one I came across. And then certainly people have used it effectively for some time. I struggle, I have to say, with the thickness of the base.
Yeah.
But for people who've used it, I've never heard them complain about that. I think also, again, sometimes people are concerned about the thumb usage of this button here. It does come in two different sizes.
Correct, yeah.
And again, maybe it's quite a tight grip to use that button. But I do know people who've used it very effectively.
Yeah, I suppose just to point out that it's a thumb click. Yeah, as you just showed,
yeah.
So the clicks there. Comes in two sizes, like you say, and wired and wireless on that one as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So that's really the main upright mice, isn't it? So we probably then need to go on to the more nearly upright ones.
Yeah, that sounds sensible.
Right. I'll let you get those.
Let me start writing some down for you. There we go.
Okay. So I think probably it's worth talking about the grip mouse. The grip mouse is very similar to the other upright mice we've seen already. It is slightly longer, and people with longer fingers may get on with it better maybe than the evoluent mouse. Other than that, really, I would just say probably, Chris, it's a more cost-effective option, I think is fair to say, isn't it, with the grip mouse compared to the evoluents? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, an entry-level mouse, I suppose. Yeah, a lot more cost-effective, less features, so no customizable buttons, less buttons as well. So you've just got the two main buttons there rather than the three on the evoluent. Still the same scroll function, but yes, a cost-effective version.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll pop that one out there, and then we've got these two mice. I mean, they are completely different, but they have the same sort of ability to change the tip on them. So you can go for really quite a pronated position, or you can change it to a different level. So they both have the same features. The Contour mouse, this one here, Contour Unimouse, thank you. Contour Unimouse has the thumb support, which actually quite a lot of people that I've used it with really like.
Yep.
Not sure it's a feature that necessarily attracts me to it, but I think it's the way we all work.
Yep.
No, so the ability to change the inclination and the thumb, I think, is the key points with the contour mouse, although I'm sure you can give me some more features for it.
Yeah, like I say, you've got 3 buttons on there. You've got the thumb support on the inside. You've got your back and forward buttons on there as well. You've got your scroll function, and obviously you can move the angle as well, as you pointed out, Catherine. So yeah, good for a lot of people because you can change that angle. Available in wired and wireless again. So yeah, another good option.
Good option. And then we have this one's called the Oyster Mouse. Yes, as I said, we can change the inclination on it, but also you can use it in the right or the left hand, so it has the ability to go either hand. So again, a useful, flexible option, I think, for many people.
Yeah, not much more to add on that really. It's the functions, as you can see, are on there with the click, left click, and the right click, and the back and forward buttons on the side. Again, available in wired and wireless.
Yep. Shall we go on to the contour mice next?
Yeah, sure.
Pass them over. I have to confess, I have a very soft spot for the contour mouse. Because one of the earlier versions, dare I say it, a very early version, was the first mouse that I gave to a patient of mine, actually, and they came back and they said to solve their problem. So I do actually have a very soft spot for this mouse. I would usually describe it as just a better design mouse. It provides really good support for the hand and the fingers, so it really fits nicely. And without that middle scroll wheel, so the scroll is on the thumb, and also you have a thumb control. So for somebody who's perhaps struggling with scrolling, this can be a really good option. They come in lots of different sizes, left and right. I'll let Chris tell you the functionality of those. Yeah,
so 3 buttons again, like Catherine says, with a scroll wheel on the inside and then a forward and back button on the inside as well. 3 sizes, so small, medium, large, left-handed, small, medium, large as well, come in wired and wireless, so lots of options on those as well.
Yeah, even though they've been around a long time, we still sell quite a few of those, don't we?
Yeah, we do a few of those. Yeah, as with all the mice, we do quite a few. It's very much, as you'll know more than me, it's horses for courses.
Well, it is.
And but, what fits you. So we do sell a lot of all the mice, but we still do, yeah, a good number of the contour mice, even though they've been around for a long time.
Okay, let's should we go on to the hand shoe mice now?
Yeah, sure. So hand shoe mice. There we go.
I always think, penguins, stingrays with these ones. I always look at this. Oh, they look as if they've been a mouse that's been left on the radiator to melt. But actually, I am very fond of these, and I think they are very useful for somebody who doesn't really want to go upright but needs a more supported mouse.
Yep.
There's also lots of good research on them, but they do actually. I'm more this size, so let me show you this one. So really provide a good supported position. Limited functionality, not many buttons, but also you can't do that awful grippy thing with this mouse. Quite often you find people doing this with a mouse, and it's very difficult to do that with a hand shoe mouse. So I have to say, I do think they have a significant place.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. The functionality and the buttons are, not necessarily, the prominent feature on this. It's all about the position of the hand, isn't it? And yeah, like you say, 3 sizes available: small, medium, and large. Left-handed and right-handed available, and wired and wireless available in those as well.
Yeah, excellent. All right, I'll move those out of the way.
Fantastic.
And last but by no means least is the Ortho mouse.
Yes.
Talking about getting the size right, quite an innovative mouse that you can actually, change the different sizes of them on. So we just put the different size backs on. Oh, I'm going to have to just remove stickiness.
Technical
label on there to be able to show you how we can just simply take the back off the mouse and then pop it on, so we can get a different size going on. So again, really comfortable mouse actually. It's one that I've only recently sort of started to use a bit more. I don't know why it's taken me so long, and lots of ability to change the function there, I think.
Yeah, plenty of buttons on there. So you've got your back and forward buttons and another button inside there, and then you've also got the 2 main feature buttons there on the front. Available in wired and wireless, but no left-handed version available of that.
No left-handed at all?
No left-handed.
Oh, that's a shame. No. Never mind. Okay then. I Yeah, it used to be a problem with quite a few mice, but I think there is more left-handed ones available now, aren't there?
Yeah, it really depends on the range. So as we've been going through, I've tried to highlight some of them that have left hands available. Yeah, obviously, not as many. It has been a problem previously, but I think more manufacturers are getting on board with the fact that there is that demand out there.
There is. Yeah. Right, I just want to pop on to. Let me just show you. So we're going to be going on to Trackballs and Trackballs. That's the one. Sorry. I'll start on Trackballs. Okay, so Trackballs. I think a little bit of a Marmite thing there. Love them or you hate them, don't you? I know a lot of people again who've got on with them exceedingly well. The benefits, as far as I'm concerned, for Trackballs is the fact they stay put. For people who mouse runs away, yeah, I think they're excellent. Again, people who perhaps got space limitations, they're very useful because this is where your mouse lives, doesn't it? Yep. I've also found them very useful for people with shoulder problems, so they need quite a static position to be able to look after their sensitive shoulder. Obviously, you can have the balls in different positions. This one obviously is more about the thumb, and this one sort of more the fingers. Obviously, this is more of a bilateral one. This is obviously a unilateral one. The only problem is when you put them in one position, you're saving the shoulder. You are transferring a lot of movement down onto the fingers. Yeah. But there is quite a demand for them. Yeah, we still sell a good few, and like I say, a lot of people who have shoulder problems prefer these because they're not having to move a mouse, which is relatively understandable. So yeah, I mean, good products. Like I said, the main functionality of the movement is in the ball, and then you have the clicks on either side with the marble, and you have the clicks on both sides. Only available in wired for this one. And obviously ambidextrous because it's the same shape both way around, so you can use the thumb to basically perform the clicks. The M570 is only available in right hand, so you can use it right-handed with this thumb on the right side. And then the main functions being the clicks there, and you've got some of the additional back-forward buttons there and the scroll wheel there. Only available in wireless on this one. Okay, so only wired, only wireless. Yeah. Fair enough. Right, okay, let's go on to the Trackballs, please. Of course, yes. Right. Lovely. Let's start with those three, shall we? Yeah, sure. So I've got what have we got here? So the Roller Mouse Pro 3, the Roller Mouse Free 3, and the Roller Mouse Red. And the Roller Mouse Red is the most recent, isn't it? Yes, yeah. The most recent one. Yeah. I mean, the key feature about all of these is the fact that you can control the cursor in front of the keyboard. So the keyboard is here, and you can control the cursor like that. Also, you could use either hand. Yep. So for people who are struggling, who want a full-size keyboard, but they're struggling with the placement of the mouse to the side, they're a boon, aren't they? They do take longer to get used to, though. I mean, they take a good 10 days, really, don't they, to really decide if it's for you. Whereas the other mice are much quicker. Yeah, very much so. I started using one of these when I first started with Postrite many years ago now, and it did take me a little while to get used to it. And it's the feedback that we get from customers as well is that they're not 100% sure first of all, but it takes a little bit of time to get used to the movement, get used to the action, get used to the buttons. So yeah. Regarding features, so they all come with these off the back. These are designed to put your keyboard on. They're fully adjustable, so you can move them in and out depending on the width of your keyboard. You have the buttons so the left click, the standard function click button, is on the actual bar. So the bar moves left and right, back and forward to move the cursor, and then you can click with a single click. You can program that button to do other things as well if you wanted it to, but most people have it as a single click rather than a double click, etc. You have a left click, right click, and a double click in the middle there. You have a scroll function, and then also on all these products you have a copy and paste button as well. And then you have a cursor speed button in the middle to change the speed of the cursor. Difference between the products being you've got the closed bar here on the Pro. The Free, you've got the long bar with no casing around the outside of it, so you've got a much greater range of movement. And then I'll just hold this one a bit closer on the
red, you have the bar. It's a slightly chunkier bar, and it's got some knobbles on it, I suppose is the way to describe them. On the actual bar, I'm not sure if the camera's picking them up, but you can just see some knobbly bits.
It's much more tactile, actually.
Yeah, it's much more tactile, and again, you've got it free, so there's no casing over the bar, so you get a lot more bar to play with to move around. So you don't have to move the hand so much from the shoulder so much.
It is interesting because I think you use one yourself still, don't you?
I do. I actually use the next one that we're going to come on to.
Okay.
It's the right bar, so let's grab that.
Show me.
So very similar product. This is probably the cost-effective, the entry-level version of the products that we've been talking about. Again, it has the feet that connect here to go on the back to put your keyboard on. Yeah, and I use this at home. Mainly right-handed use, but I do use my left hand every now and again. I spend a lot of time at my desk. Typing and doing mouse work, so
taking breaks regularly,
of course taking breaks regularly, but whilst
I know,
I use this. I find it more comfortable. I do use a standard mouse as well on the side, so I switch between the two just to try and give myself that variety. But yeah, I really like the products. Yeah, the bar products, I think they're great.
Okay, so let's move on from the bar products to something quite similar. Very popular actually in Sweden, aren't they? Or actually the Nordic countries are these mouse trappers.
Yeah.
Less popular over here, but I think certainly worth knowing about, aren't they? Because essentially very similar to the bars, but instead of the bars, you have the pads that you can move. And I think I quite like the feel of the pads. And I think actually for me it's a larger area to aim at. So I suppose I'm quite keen on that. Not used one extensively. You did use this small one with a laptop for some time. I've got on with it quite well, but I think actually I feel more of a mouse person myself. Tell me about the differences between these particular ones.
Yeah, so we've got 3 models here. We've got the Advanced 2.0, and the Flexible. So the Flexible is obviously a lot smaller. You can see it there. Move that close to the camera so you can see it's half the size. Designed really to be moved around so it can travel with you, rather than these are going to be a bit more office based. These two, so the Advanced Plus and the 2.0, it's really a difference in the texture of it. They feel much more tactile. It feels I suppose more tactical is the way to describe it.
Yes, I think it is. I think it's a much more attractive feel.
Yeah, I mean, and the features of it, like you said, it's a trackpad. So you have a trackpad. Again, you can click on the trackpad. So that's another key feature. So you're not constantly having to come off and do the clicking function, same as the bar mice. And it's similar with the buttons. So left click, right click. You've got a button in the middle there and forward back buttons. But it's very, very similar. And unlike I suppose the one thing to say, unlike a laptop where you would have a solid surface and you would be moving around on a solid surface, this actually moves with you as well. So I'm not sure if the camera completely picks that up when I move that around, but you can see that actually the product's moving around underneath there. It moves with it rather than being a solid surface.
Okay. Before we move on to anything else, Dan, have we got any questions either about the upright mice or about the track bars, or should we sally forth and move on to the next lot?
We do have a question, actually. Obviously, you talked a lot about the wired and the wireless. Someone would like to know if you could summarise which of them are Bluetooth compatible.
Okay. Does it say which? Actually, probably just the easier.
Yeah.
Let's just go through.
I think the best way to do that is at the end. What we'll do is send out a list. So we'll send out a list of the products and the compatibility on the list. So it'll So I think that's going to be the best way to do it, because there's a lot of products to go through, and the connectivity. So I think probably we'll send a list through at the end.
I mean, what I would say is there are an increasing number of them. I know when I started asking for them to begin with, it was quite small, but now actually a lot of things do come in Bluetooth too now. So yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Any other questions, or shall we move on to the next session?
Feel free to move on.
Okay.
Fantastic. Where are we going next?
We're going on to the other ones on the side there.
Okay.
I'll start with these. I think, again, these, for me, very much come under sort of the more supportive, better designed type of mice. We've got the Gold Touch mouse here, that, as you can see, as we put it next door to a more traditional mouse, provides a much greater level of support for the hand. It isn't adjustable, so, it'll either fit you or it won't, although there is a degree of flexibility, I suppose, we all adapt, but we don't want to adapt too much. So really I would just say, a nicely weighted, well-designed mouse, but just better designed really than a standard mouse.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Your functionality, you've got your left click, your right click, you scroll in the middle, wired and wireless again. The wireless is a USB wireless rather than a Bluetooth wireless on this mouse. But yeah, I don't think there's much more to say on that.
No,
It's a blind mouse, that's what it's for. Yeah.
And we've got this, and do you know what? So we've got the sculpt here. Again, it's looking about providing better support. And it certainly does that. Interestingly for me, it just puts me right on the outside of my hand, which isn't comfortable. But I think, again, this is a very personal thing. We do have quite a lot of our colleagues who actually like this mouse quite a lot, don't they? But it's all about good support. Again, relatively little functionality going on that.
Yeah, I mean, you've summed it up really well there, Catherine. It's like I say, you've got your left, your right click, and your scroll wheel in the middle. There's not much more functionality-wise to it, really. It's wireless only on this product, so there's no wired version available. And it's a good solid standard product, but there's no, it's a
It is what
it is. Yeah.
It is what it is. But should we go on to the travel mice?
Yeah,
we've got a couple of examples here of travel mice. So again, when people are traveling, we know that actually using an external mouse, if you are using, a product for any period of time, is going to be better for your posture. But obviously, carrying quite bulky mice around, is quite a problem. So we've got these mice that are sort of for travel. Go on to this one. So we've got the arc. So as you can see, it can either be flat when you're traveling, or you can actually bend it. Again, a very comfortable mouse as far as providing support, better than a small mouse, probably better than a non-flexible mouse like that. But again, not ideal for long term, I would have said, if you're somebody who's a heavy mouse user, but great for somebody who uses a mouse quite a lot through the day, but maybe not intensively. And then actually you can explain the technical bits, because I'm not very technical.
Yeah, sure. So it's really simple on this mouse. Left click and a right click, and it has a scroll wheel in the middle that basically you can use your finger to go right up and down and scroll on. This one's actually called the Up Touch. So this mouse, like I say, they sell really well for us. Lots of people who travel, so you just fold it flat, pop it in your bag, and then off you go with the keyboard and your laptop stand. So yeah, we do a good number of those to our customers.
Actually, we found out earlier, didn't we, that the USB sits. Put my glasses on for this, I can't see. The USB sits actually within, I can't get it off now. Within there it is. Yeah, the USB sits in it. So again, nice and easy. So you're not going to lose that, which is something that I have done in the past, is lost my dongles.
Yep.
And do you want to tell us about this one?
Yeah, so this one's the Microsoft Modern Mobile mouse.
Modern Mobile.
Yeah, just to make it a bit of a mouthful for us, but it's it's very, very straightforward mouse, very slim profile. So the idea being that it's going to fit into a bag very, very simply. Left click, right click, scroll wheel. So really, really simple functionality. But again, good for people that are on the move. For people that like aesthetics as well. It's quite a nice looking mouse.
Well, it is, but I actually like the way you can bend the other one. But I suppose that's a personal thing. So there's the travel mice. Then let's look at the gaming. We've got an example of a gaming mouse. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on gaming mouse. Really, because they are a mouse that is designed both for long-term use, but lots and lots of buttons. I think that's when we were talking about them earlier. So for most people at work, you don't need a gaming mouse, but if you're somebody who is very technical, using lots of different applications and lots of different functions, then that may well be something for you. But they sometimes look a bit strange, but they actually feel quite comfortable. So I don't know whether you've got anything to add to that, anything more technical from
No, not really. I mean, they're designed, for gamers, I suppose. That's what they call gaming mice. The idea being that they've got lots of buttons for multifunctions. They can be programmed, so different buttons do different things, which appeal to a lot of people. But you've hit the nail on the head in that people who are using a wide range of functions, they may want a mouse with lots of buttons on, so they can basically do different functions with different buttons. Generally, you don't get any vertical gaming mice, etc. They're standard sort of design, so they're probably not going to help you if you have any shoulder problems, etc. You need to make the movements that you're going to need to make. However, like I say, the multi buttons, they're going to help. So this one, for example, left click, right click, has a scroll function in the middle there, has a back buttons on the left and the right hand side on this one for the thumb. And just, lots of gaming mice are relatively similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I think that brings us nicely on to the next one. I can't remember its name.
The MX Performance.
The MX Performance. I think this is more, I was about to say, actually, as we get more technical, as people have more screens. I mean, I sometimes use 3 screens now, which is amazing. People are wanting more from their mouse, and I think this is a good example of that, because this one can actually use with 3 different applications at the same time, can't they? 3 different computers. And I never would have thought that we would be asking for that. But actually, when I was talking about getting the right mouse, actually, you need the mouse to do the job and actually to communicate with whatever you're doing. And we are using more and more different systems, aren't we?
Yeah.
So I think this is a good example of that. So there you go. Tell us anything more exciting about that.
Yeah, I mean, again, the functionality is roughly the same. Scroll wheel, you've got a cursor speed in the middle, you've got your left and your right click, and on the inside of the mouse, you've got your back button for moving back and forward on the inside there. But again, so the functionality is not too dissimilar. Like I say, can work across multiple platforms if needed, this mouse, whereas most people will, even if they're using multiple screens, it will be one mouse controlling across the screen, so you will do a larger movement to move across from screen 3 to screen 1, say, for example. But if you have got separate devices on the go, then you can essentially use the mouse to go between the 3.
Yeah, so I think that's interesting. I think we'll be getting more mice with greater functionality. I think that's something we're going to see a growth in. Right, we've got a couple of other little ones there, haven't we? So whichever one you want to go first. Let's go with this one first. This one is a washable mouse. So I suppose a little bit now for something completely different for those of you of my era. So the sort of, I suppose, the physical ergonomics of this mouse is not spectacular. There, it is a traditional standard type mouse, but the fact that you can actually wash it, I think, is very topical, which is why we decided to include it in the presentation today. Chris, you've probably got a little bit more you want to say, or maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's the key feature of it is the fact that you can put it in a dishwasher. Basically, you can, it's sealed on the inside, so effectively the electronics aren't going to get affected. But basically, you can place it in a dishwasher, wash it overnight, and then so the next person comes in the following morning. Very relevant in these times, obviously, with everything that's happening. So yeah, it's a little charging port there. So basically, it's a wireless mouse that you can plug in. It's plugged into your computer, and then effectively, that will charge it.
And in fact, they do keyboards as well, don't they? Which I think, as I say, because we're in that zone at the moment. But I think washable keyboards, washable mice is something that maybe people are thinking about.
Exactly that. Yep.
Okay. Lovely. And lastly, but by no means least, the pen click. Now, we've talked very much, I suppose, at the moment, most of the mouse we've seen have been sort of common general usage. We have got people who need to use the smaller muscles of their hand to do really quite precise work. And you've got something like the pen click for this, because then you're using the small muscles of your hands. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe I don't do enough sort of sensitive work, but I also struggle with some of the buttons on this. But I do see, from the ergonomics point of view, being able to use the small muscles being something that some people are going to need. So again, there are other pen mice out there, but that's the one that we tend to use more, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the one we use more. So just to show you the functionality of this, so you've got the pen on the top that moves 360 degrees all over. It's a ball and socket joint effectively, and then it rotates on the top of it as well. So you can change the position for the left click and right click as needed. Essentially, it's just basically a mouse at the bottom here, a very small mouse. So it has a sensor on the bottom, and it operates like a standard mouse. And then, like I say, you've got the left click, right click, and the scroll function in the middle. So fairly straighthtforward. Like you say, great for people that are needing to use the fine.
I think people doing graphics and that sort of thing, particularly, get on well with that. So that's that. Okay. Right. Any questions about those before we go on to a few etceteras to go with mice?
Not particularly on that range. I do have another question if you're happy to have that now. So we've had a question. With such huge range, what is the best advice on helping selection? In my organisation, and on occasion, there's been mouse envy. The Volderant has been very popular when a need has arisen.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is difficult. I think with mouse, going through that list of what people need to do, where they need to position their mouse. I don't think you can look at mice in isolation. I think you have to look at them in the whole setup. As I said to begin with, you've got to get the whole setup right. So first of all, are they going to need a full-size keyboard? If somebody's going to need a full-size keyboard and they're quite, narrow themselves, then they're probably looking at more of a central mouse, like the roller mice or something like that. Or maybe even looking at a keyboard that may go smaller, but if they need a full-size keyboard. Mouse envy is a difficult thing. I would hope that people would, if you go through a clear process of saying, what do you need to do? What do you need it for your size? That actually people would see that different people need different things. I hope that we've shown there's quite a wide range, and that maybe, not getting the sort of bright and shiny if you've got a low budget isn't a bad idea. So maybe, what it looks like does come into it if you are worried about having people being envious, that sort of thing. It is quite difficult.
Okay, we also have another question to do with these products. Have you seen an increase in the recommendation of the portable mat, like the portable mice?
I mean, I would say yes, but actually the man who probably knows is Chris. Have we seen a rise?
Yeah, in short, yes, is the answer to that. It's with everything going on with COVID, etc., and people working in more than just a central location in the office. Yeah, quite simply, yes, people are working from home, people are working from other places, not just the home, not just the office, and therefore they need more mobile products. So yes, we have seen numbers increase dramatically, yes.
I'm going to ask a cheeky question. Are you just able to say which mouse which portable mouse seems to be most popular, or is it difficult to say at the moment?
It's a combination, really. We do a number of mice that are relatively standard mice, which are left click, right click, basic functionality, and it depends on the customer, and they might like a particular mouse that they want included with a pack that we may be providing with a keyboard and laptop stand as well. So it's really mixed between probably about 10 core products of standard mice.
Right.
So the mice we've been looking at today are the ranges that are probably away from the bog standard mouse that we've been showing, but the bog standard mice are popular as well because of packs, because that's better than.
I think actually I would also say that it may not be that portable mice are only going up, but as you were alluding to there, people now have more than one workstation. So it may not be that you need a specialist mouse, you just need a mouse at home and a mouse in the office. I certainly have quite a lot of mice around. Never mind, we won't go into that. So, any other questions?
No, you're happy to move on.
Okay, so you have a look at some of the bits that are associated with mice.
Of course.
Just to sort of round us off a little bit. I'm going to start with the mouse mat with the rest. I think we would all agree that actually if we're using a mouse, we'd like to see a little bit of movement both at the shoulder and at the wrist. The mouse mat with a wrist rest, I've always got concerns that it tends to make people pivot at the wrist. So my natural tendency is not, we certainly don't always need these, and I would always say with care. And if you do provide a mouse mat, it needs to be really soft. I have seen quite a lot of mouse mats that are really quite firm, and the last thing you want is a lot of pressure sort of on this area of your hand and wrist. So there is a place, I suppose, for mouse mats, but if somebody is needing more support, I would go for something that either moves or actually change the mouse completely. So never say never, there is a place, but I think there are other alternatives. And I think actually we've got some examples here. Do you want to pass these two? I mean, this is, well, both, actually all three of them. I think I'll give examples of if you want some more support for the wrist and forearm with the mouse. This one here, as I say, you can see there is a gap here that will allow no pressure actually on the wrist itself. So again, you can gain that support, but you can gain it in a flexible way. And the same with this product here. I'll pass them to you, you can tell me about them in a minute. Again, you've got the gap in the middle to make sure that you aren't getting pressure on the delicate subjects. structures, beg your pardon. So this is the fellows.
That's the palm support.
Palm support, that's it. I keep always remember to get that.
That was the mouse
And this
beam.
is the mouse beam.
Yep.
So again, really, really quite inexpensive products, I think.
Yes.
But if you need support, I think, you know, a really, really good option, aren't they?
Yep.
And then we have this one.
The puck.
The puck. You can tell us about the puck if you want.
Okay, yeah, very simple product, puck. It's a round wrist rest, as you can see. It doesn't, it has an indent. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but an indent in the middle there. Essentially for the same functionality, that's try and avoid any pressure on the carpal region. It's yeah, again, the mouse sits in front of it and it moves around with you as well. It's very, very similar concept to those two, slightly different shape, come in multiple colours as well, so you can have them in any colour you want, blue, green, pretty much everything. But yeah, a nice little product, inexpensive as well. Yeah.
Right. Do you want to pass me? Ergo beads. Really, essentially, it's like a beanbag you used to have at school, and and again provides the same sort of support. Doesn't move as well as these other products, I would say. It does catch a little bit. However, I do like it from a stress relief and an interesting point of view. So I do like this, and plus the fact I suppose you can always throw it at your colleague if they're annoying. But I think it is a useful product. I'm not sure there's much else to say about there, really, is there, about the Ergo beads?
Not really, I don't think so. I mean, like I say, beanbag structure, sits on the wrist basically, simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose if you had an irritated scar or something, it might just provide a bit of cushioning and a bit more support. Maybe the others wouldn't do that. It's a possibility. Right, I think that's probably all we wanted to say about the particular products.
Okay.
Any other questions, queries?
Okay, so got someone else asking, what mouse do you use yourself?
Oh, well, I'm a bit of a mouse tart, actually. I suppose it comes as no surprise. I use quite a few. I use an evoluent, a Bluetooth evoluent, actually. I use a hand shoe. I use a penguin, and I have a portable. I can't remember what it's called. That's that dreadful. It's a small portable mouse. I will remember, and I'll let you. But I have about 4 different mice. Plus the fact, whenever we have any new products or anybody brings them through, I tend to use them and see what I think about them.
I'm a right bar, so a bar mouse, and then I have a penguin that I use left and right-handed every now and again when I'm doing things.
Yeah.
Can't use the bar, or try and mix it up. Again, we get a lot of samples through, a lot of new products, so it's very much yeah, having a look at those and playing around with those, and yeah, seeing how they work. So yeah.
It is interesting, actually. I mean, you were saying sometimes you have 2 mice, and actually I have 2 mice at home too. I think that's partly because I'm desperately trying to learn how to use the mouse with my left hand, and I can do until I get busy. It's a bit like my touch typing. I can do it until I get busy, and then I go back to it. Because I'd really like to be able to mouse with either hand, but old dog, new tricks, but I'm still trying.
I do my best to vary as much as I can. So yeah, left hand on the penguin and left hand on the bar mouse. So yeah, it's trying to get into those habits, isn't it? And like you say, as soon as it gets busy and you get the pressure, you tend to revert back to what you know best. And yeah, so I'm probably the same as well. Yeah.
In fact, I mean, I have with some clients when they've struggled in the past. They didn't know that they could have 2 mice. I don't know why would you assume that people would know, but actually it does help them. So instead of saying use it in your left hand, actually have another mouse you can use part of in the left hand, because otherwise you just give up if you can't do it anymore.
Yeah, so. most mice don't conflict with each other. So when you plug them in, you can have 2 devices plugged in at the same time. So as long as you've got enough USB ports on whatever device you're using, whether it be a laptop, whether it be, well, whatever it may be, an extension, a USB hub, etc. If you plug them in, they'll both work at the same time. So you can use 2 devices. Yeah.
I think it's quite useful.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Okay, just a question about pricing. Where can that be found?
Oh, that's definitely a quick question.
I think we'll send that on with the connectivity at the end of it. So we'll give you a full list of all the products that we've been looking at with the RRP prices and the connectivity, whether it's Bluetooth, USB, yeah, and a few other bits of information on that sheet as well.
Anything else? Because I've got one thing I want to say, but I'll wait till we've got any questions.
No, that's it for the moment, so you go.
Okay. I was just going to say, actually, now we've got ourselves sort of set up. I mean, you're on site here quite a lot. I come down on a regular basis. If there's anything anyone wants to see or wants to see us trialing anything, let us know, and we can do either a team session or we can do a session, and we can go through and show you the product. Or if you've actually got clients maybe who really want to see something before they buy it, please just let us know. We're here to help. You know, and I think that's an important message. It's something we, you know, it's more important than ever, because it's going to be a while before we're out and about showing you things.
100%. We're here to help, aren't we? Basically.
We are.
So please, you know, use us and make sure that, you know, you're comfortable with what you're recommending, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.